Hi guys, it's Carissa, and I got good news today. Oh, I am so relieved. I could tell I was physically just very stressed. I could tell on my way to my appointment this morning. And I really, really wanted to be able to use this cycle for our IVF and not have to wait till May. So I went in and I was nervous about my ultrasound because on Friday I started noticing cramping on my left side, and it would just figure that I'd start growing my own follicles this cycle, despite what they were trying to do with suppressing them with birth control. But I only had one little tiny black spot on my left side, and it was probably a cyst, and that's probably what I was feeling. I'm sure within the next few days it'll go away. And my lining was nice and thin. Everything was still pretty much at baseline. So tonight will be my last birth control pill, and then I will start stim meds tomorrow. Something that I found out today, and it isn't until I'm about to tell you guys in a video that I wonder, why didn't I ask questions about that? But sometimes I'm just so busy absorbing the information that I don't even formulate questions about it until after the fact. But I was told, that my blood pressure was on the high side, and when I've checked it at home myself, it has been a little too. Not super elevated, but higher than usual and pretty consecutively. And it turns out, and I didn't think anything of this, of course, for some reason, I didn't even consider that it was the birth control that was elevating my blood pressure. And so they wanted to double check it before I left. I also attribute some of that to just the stress of the unknown and not knowing if this appointment was going to go well. I also think I have a little bit of that white coat syndrome where my blood pressure is just high when I have a doctor's appointment because it's a doctor, and for whatever reason I'm scared that they're going to give me bad news of some kind, and just the stress of wanting to be on time or traffic. All sorts of things usually make my blood pressure a little elevated at the beginning of an appointment. So I asked, after she said that, after the nurse said, oh, your blood pressure is a little elevated, that's why it's not ideal for you to be on birth control. Is this something that they just figured out? I was on it for 3 weeks, a couple of times. So I wonder if when the doctor looked at my chart recently to set up a new protocol, if he was like, why did you guys put her on birth control for 3 weeks? Because she has hypertension and she shouldn't be on birth control for 3 weeks. Maybe that isn't what happened, but I was really surprised because they kept saying, oh, with PCOS, it's ideal that you take birth control for 3 weeks prior to, starting your stim meds to make sure everything's really quiet. But because I don't tend to have a lot of activity, especially not cysts or anything in my ovaries, I, one, don't think that I'm really a candidate to do that, and two, I think that they overlooked my blood pressure. So I don't know if that's the case. I guess I can't be upset about it. It's just, it already happened. If we have other cycles in the future and they want me to be on it, I will ask them about it. But no wonder I feel so crappy on birth control because my blood pressure is elevated. I feel hot flashes, and I feel, obviously some of it's just the birth control itself, the drug itself, but I feel so lousy on birth control that it's amazing to me that I didn't think of all this before. But I think that we just have so much stuff, when you've been doing stuff like this, you have so much information coming at you all the time for different reasons and about different things that sometimes stuff like that just slips your mind, I guess. I don't know. So, starting tomorrow, which is the 1st, I will be on 5 units of Lupron, 300 units of gonal, and I'll also be taking doxycycline again. That's 100 milligrams for the antibiotic. That's for the retrieval to make sure that nothing gets pushed in where it shouldn't be. It makes me sick. Dexamethasone I'm taking, which is 0.5 milligrams, and my understanding of that drug, I haven't looked it up or anything, but my understanding of that is that it's a steroid, which is an anti-inflammatory. And I'm also going to be on my regular drugs, like my Synthroid, the metformin, and my blood pressure medications. So I'm kind of excited that, and this is purely from a financial standpoint, I know that this is a little ridiculous to say, but when I saw on my sheet that I was going to be taking 300 units of gonal, I was like, oh, that's awesome, because there's a chance I'll only need 4 pens, and I already have 2 pens. So I ordered all of my meds. They're supposed to get here today, and truthfully, I haven't ordered any extra pens yet because it's just so expensive. I do have a discount because I qualified through a program that I filled out from the company that makes the drug. It's the EMD Serono and Compassionate Care Credit, I think it's called. EMD Serono Compassionate Care Credit. And 50% off of one of those pens makes it $440. So it's still really, really pricey, and I'm just going to wait and order the other pens in like a week just to give myself a break from all the other drugs I just ordered. I also placed an order for the intralipids, which when I called that pharmacy, they're out of Chicago, and the guy was like, look, the weather's been kind of strange. I am going to just send it to your doctor's office. And I didn't really know why. Obviously, I figured it was a temperature thing, but they said that it has to be at room temperature. So they were probably sending it in a heated truck, and they just want to store it at the doctor's office, figuring that they have the best temperature for it there. So I'll have to pick that up, and they want me to take that with me for some reason that sounded weird when I said that. They want me to take it with me when I go to get my retrieval done, and then have that put in there through an IV. So that's everything so far. I figure what I'll do, once I get my drugs, I will line everything up, except for the intralipids, obviously, and I will talk about them, show them to you and everything, just so that you can see what I've got going on. And there's one other drug, I think it's called Cleocin, and it is a vaginal suppository that I'm supposed to take for 3 days. I don't know if that's after my retrieval or after my transfer. I don't quite remember, but I have it. It's downstairs waiting for me. So I'm excited. The only downside still is this trip Mike has to take for work. This lines up so that our retrieval would likely be, at the earliest, the day after Mike gets home from his trip. And maybe I'm just being overly cautious, but I am a little bit worried about flights. I don't think there's any way that his flight would get canceled. He'd be coming from Florida to Rochester. I don't know if on the 11th or 12th or whenever it is that he's flying out, there would be a chance that I have to worry about his flight, at least not for weather purposes, but they did tell me today to consider having him have a sperm frozen and ready for me in case he doesn't make it back in time for the transfer. Now, last time I stimmed for 14 days, I believe, so that would have us in the clear. You know, he'd probably be home by then, but the day after makes me nervous. And to pay all this money for all these drugs and to do all this monitoring and then get to that point and not be able to do it, it does make me nervous. So he would have to find time to drive between now and when he leaves, to drive over 2 hours away to the facility to provide a sample there. And he doesn't love the idea of that, but it's starting to sound more and more like that's what we need to do. I do have to find out how much that costs. I think it's relatively inexpensive. I think it's like $100 if I remember correctly from last time, but oh, this training is really throwing a wrench in things, but we're still gonna do it. We're gonna just keep pushing forward. So there's a chance that that won't even be an issue, but I'm starting to think, why wouldn't we do that, you know, after everything that we're setting up now? And it's just a matter of him getting used to the idea of having to chisel out time in his day to spend 4 hours driving for that. So, but that's it. I will update you guys when I have something more for you. My next appointment isn't till Thursday, and before then, maybe I'll do a drug video or something. I don't know. That's weird to say, a drug video. All right, I hope you guys are well. Thank you so much. Bye.